world till we give a sight. And commitment is what you need to show up, and Jesus is the one that'll set you free. So hold up, you telling me you stuck with the memories of the lost. See, I ain't saying forget, just lay it all at the cross. And so what, you in struggle, you fall in love with the world that don't love you. Why not fall in love with a God that's gonna show you what's right and think nothing but the best of you. Now you can rebuild with a real win, and tell the whole world how he killed sin, and tell them how Jesus came and filled in your body with the Holy Spirit to rebuild it. Yeah. Not sure which way to go. I've been slipping into sin, now my past is my beginning. Like a rodeo, up and down with my decisions. I fell out of commitment this time. Now it's time to rebuild your position, rebuild your faith, rebuild your relationship, and be thankful for His grace. Rebuild your brother, rebuild your sister, rebuild everything that God has given us to make us winners. See, confusion is of the enemy, so confusion is not a friend of me. I'm rebuilding with God right in front of me. Good faith and love is where I wanna be. And you can choose the same too, cause rebuilding is something everybody going through. See, rebuilding is something everybody will do, cause rebuilding is how the Holy Spirit filled you. Cause without it, you wouldn't have came into the church. Without it, you wouldn't have got away from that hurt. Without it, you would still be lost, going up and down in the world like a seesaw. So rebuilding is something we all need. Through God, happiness and love you will receive. So get ready for your rebuilding stage, cause God is rebuilding us in Jesus' name. Icy road, not sure which way to go. I've been slipping into sin, now my past is my beginning. Like a rodeo, up and down with my decisions. I fell out of commitment this time. Now it's time to rebuild.
Would you like to hear your company or church announcements or church broadcast on the airwaves of WEHA? You can call our business office at 609-641-8870 for further details.
We've been together now for quite some time. I've seen your weaknesses and you've seen mine. We both learned how to overlook the faults that we may have, to stand side by side through our good times and through the bad. Now we'll be together come what may. I'm glad to say, after all this time, you're still the one who's always on my mind. La da da. Some differences and heartaches too, but you've remained my friend and your love's been true. What a shame that it took so long to see what love should be, the feeling we long for day and night, most of our lives, and we'll never let it slip away. I'm glad to say, after all this time, you're still the
Gospel 88.1 88.7 WEHA. It's more than music. It's ministry.
Port Republic, Atlantic City, and now on FM Translator 100.3 W262CF, Atlantic City, Pleasantville. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily those of WEHA, Gospel 88.7 and 100.3 FM. We Have Gospel, Spread the Gospel Inc., or any of its sponsors. WEHA is a listener-supported radio station. To make a donation, call 609-641-8870. Visit our headquarters at 3 Canal Drive, Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey, 08234. Or log on to our website, wehavegospel.com.
We have gospel.
If you just tuned in, you're listening to In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon and First Lady Parrish right here on your two-time Stellar Award-winning gospel radio station, WEHA Gospel 88.7, 100.3 FM. We have gospel. We are live in the studio on today, and we have a wonderful program. We want you to click like, we want you to share it, and tell someone to click on to In the Community with Dr. Thelma and First Lady Parrish. This broadcast has been brought to you by the Hawks family businesses who've been serving our community for over 40 years, and Beacon Hall, turning moments into memories. Listen, if you're looking for a place to have a baby shower or a wedding shower or wedding reception or anything that you would like to do, Beacon Hall is the place that you would want to be. And you can call 609-641-8870 extension 2. Oh, we are here. Listen, it's cold. You got to wrap up, but it's supposed to be cold. It's this time of year to be cold unless you're in Florida. Okay? Well, I have a few announcements that I want everyone to make sure that everyone is aware of and up to date with. On today, the New Mount Calvary Outreach Ministry has their food-free monthly food distribution, and it is today at 6755 Millville Road in Mays Landing, New Jersey, and it's from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. For more information, you can call 609-476-3671. Also, the Westminster Christian Worship Center, 2015 Morningside Avenue in Atlantic City. We will be having our food distribution, and that will be on Wednesday, November the 19th from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. Client's choice, first come, first serve. While supplies last, bring your own reusable bag and or cart. We will also be giving away diapers on Wednesday, so you're invited to that. Also, on today, Hamilton Township residents, there will be a shredding event. Personal documents only, proof of residency. Limited to 5 boxes, 8.5 by 22, okay? And this is going to be from 9 a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. at the Public Works Facility, 5500 Atlantic Avenue in Mays Landing, New Jersey. Also on today, we are celebrating 2 wonderful people, honoring the legacy of Pastor John H. and First Lady Martin on today, and that's going to be at 4 o'clock p.m. It's going to be at the Winsand Center, and we're all going there to give them a wonderful send-off. They're going back to Texas after being here for over 25 years, and we want them to know how much we love them. So we're looking for everyone to show up there on today. Also, the League of Municipalities, that conference will start on Tuesday, and that's going to be, I think, the 114th League of Municipalities. And that's when all of the municipalities come together for a conference, and that's going to be really, really nice, and I'm looking forward to that as well. Also, you are invited to attend the New Jersey statewide Black Agenda press conference, and that's going to be Wednesday, November the 19th, 2025 at 12:30 p.m. at the St. James AME Church, 101 North New York Avenue in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Says for more information, please contact Samantha Gordons, and her email is samantha@sansj.org. All right. Okay, I got a few more things, and then we will. We want to give our condolences to the Stewart family and the Grace Tabernacle family in the passing of Barbara Ann Stewart, who I've known all my life, maybe over 40 years. Her celebration of life will be on Friday, November the 21st. Viewing is going to be from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The service will be at 11 a.m. at the Union Baptist Temple, 335 North Pennsylvania Avenue in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So we're asking everyone to please pray for the family and pray for everyone who has lost someone during this particular time, because it's a very difficult time when you lose a loved one. Also, the juniors from Girl Scout Troop 17063 invite you to visit the Coat Closet. And this is located at the Beginners First Academy, 1201 Boulevard 50, Mays Landing, Route 50, Mays Landing, New Jersey. And they're having their open house. And this is going to be on Wednesday, November the 19th from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. And there's 3 ways you can visit. You can trade in your coat for a bigger size. If you are in need of a warm coat, please help yourself. 3, you can stop by and visit if you have any donations. Listen, so many people are doing so many things in our area, and certainly we want to support it and let people know exactly what's going on. And I always tell people, you may not need it. You're blessed. You don't need anything, but you may know someone who does. And it's very good if you would just pass that information right along to your neighbor or to a friend. All right. We are live in the studio on today. I just want to say one more thing before I introduce my guest. I went to Stockton University last night, and they had a play on the Tuskegee Airmen, and that was really, really, really nice. I really, really enjoyed it. I think it was only a one-time show, but if they ever come back and you didn't get the opportunity to see that, that is something to see, and I learned a lot. I thought I knew everything about the Tuskegee Airmen, but I found out I did not know everything about it. Okay, so that was a very, very, very nice event on last evening, and I recommend you going to see that at another time. All right, we are live in the studio today, and I am very excited. Yeah, put the mic in front of you.
Okay.
Yeah, to have our guest here with us, Peter Eschbach. Did I say that right?
You know, you can say it. It's been said so many different ways.
But I want to say it correctly. Eschbach. Peter Eschbach.
Good German name.
All right, and he is the junior vice commander of VFW Post 220, and he is the local coordinator for Reefs Across America. All right, and this, to be honest with you, I only found out about this a couple of years ago, and in Hamilton Township. I never had heard about Reef Across America, but I had attended 2 events, one last year and the year before, out at Holy Cross Cemetery. And it was a wonderful event, and it was something that I thought that I would like, that my listening audience would like to know about. So just before we get started, just in case you don't know who Peter Esbach is, I want him to say something about himself.
Oh, well, thanks, Thelma, and thanks for having us on this, I think, important topic. First, name's Peter Eschbach, good German name, like I said. As far as my background goes, I enlisted in the Army right out of high school back in '71. Did 3 years enlisted, spent 13 months in Berlin, which was back when the wall was still up. The East Germans were still shooting people. And part of my job there was performing reconnaissance missions into the Russian sector. I had a really great set of leaders who suggested maybe I didn't want to continue being a private or whatever, and they suggested I might want to go to West Point. Army has a program for that, for enlisted soldiers. Mm-hmm. Went to West Point, made it through that in my 4 years. Which, by the way, I should, since you mentioned the Tuskegee Airmen, do you know who the commanding officer of the Tuskegee Airmen was? He was Benjamin O. Davis,
okay,
a West Pointer, and the newest barracks at West Point, where my old company lives now, is Davis Barracks. It's an imposing, beautiful structure up on the hill. Anyhow, graduated from the academy as an infantry officer, and then so total I've got a little over 30 years in infantry, airborne, some special forces time, and a combination of active duty, reserve, and guard. Got out of the service, got off active duty back in the 80s, went into the corporate world, and found out, frankly, I moved around more in the corporate world than I did, in the military. But settled here, settled in Mays Landing about 17 years ago. And it's kind of funny because my job was that I retired from was with a federal/interstate government agency outside of Trenton. So with a 2-hour commute both ways, basically, even though I've been here for 16, 17 years, until I retired 5 years ago, started feeling like I was part of the community.
Okay. So that's you have such a history. And I want to first say thank you for your service, because we just passed Veterans Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I always tell people we receive the benefits of everyone who have served in our country. Some have paid the ultimate sacrifice, and we do that on Memorial Day. But the Veterans Day celebrates the soldiers and all those that are in military who are still alive or who have passed on, and it's a great thing. It's a really, really, really great thing. So you said airborne. So were you in the Air Force?
No. Airborne means jumping out of the Air
Force.
Force.
Oh, you jumped out of the Air Force.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
I probably did collapse.
Well, when people say, only a fool would jump out of a perfectly good airplane, our response to that usually is the Air Force does not have a perfectly good airplane. But that's inner rivalry, sort of joking. But no, seriously, made my first jump in 1976, and
you've been jumping. And
I'll tell you what. Seriously, it is safer than driving up the AC Expressway.
That's what they say.
It really is.
So you jumped out of airplanes, and were you scared?
Perfectly good airplane. Oh, not the first time. The second time, you now know what happens. The second time's a little scarier, but after that, no. It's actually it's an incredible feeling, and you're not in the air that long. I mean,
right.
You jump, the parachute opens, and then it's just you, and it's totally silent. It's actually really, really calming. Well, until you hit the ground, then it's a little hectic.
Well, they tried to get me to jump off Table Mountain in South Africa 2 years ago, and told me that the parachute and all that was going to come up, and I said, no, thank you.
And they tell you that if it doesn't open, they'll give you a new one.
They do say that. All right. Well, we want to, again, thank you for your service. And we're here to talk about reefs across America because a lot of people didn't know and never heard of it. And so what is reefs across America?
So the best way to describe it is almost everybody around Christmas time has seen down in Arlington National Cemetery, where thousands and thousands of our veterans are buried, that almost every year around Christmas, you see the wreaths that are placed on every one of those tombstones. And I had no idea how that went about, what happened, but I did hear, it's volunteers doing all that.
Right.
You know, a few years ago, my wife and I volunteered, or we signed up. Pardon me. We signed up to volunteer, and we were told, sorry, the cutoff. You missed the cutoff. We have, as you can imagine, lots of people volunteer for that. And then they said, but that's all part of this program, which has expanded nationally, called Wreaths Across America. And what they did was, starting at Arlington, they began, this organization was set up as a nonprofit, and it essentially allows people to get cemeteries in their local area involved, registered, certified, whatever, and then work out locally to try and get these wreaths sponsored. Okay, and that's the kicker, is that each wreath has to be paid for or sponsored, and then what happens is on Wreaths Across America Day, which is December 13th this year, we all gather. It's a great community event. It really is. And you've been to like the last two.
I have.
So it is a super way to pull a community together. And it's just gotten bigger over the past couple of years. So the first year, I'll be honest, like you had mentioned, it's in Holy Cross Cemetery, which is a Catholic diocesan cemetery, although you do not need to be Catholic to be buried there.
Oh, that I didn't know, because that was always said that you had to be.
No, it's owned and maintained beautifully, I might add, by the Catholic Church, but. There are actually people of all different faiths and nationalities that are buried there. To include, I talked to the manager, and they have a couple of folks of the Hebrew faith that are buried there as well.
Really?
So, that's not a requirement. In fact, that was important. Even though I'm a practicing Catholic, I look at patriotism as kind of across the board. It's not religious. It's who you are as a citizen. And anyhow, so we started there. The VFW in Mays Landing for years and years, and I don't know even how far back, but has always put the flags on veterans' graves in Holy Cross.
Correct.
Okay. And I can't even tell you how that started, because it's like everything else kind of in South Jersey. People talk about like their high school, even though it's been closed for 20 years, it goes back quite a ways. And so we said, okay, fine. We've got an established relationship. Let's do this wreath thing here. Problem was, we didn't even know how many veterans might be buried in Holy Cross. So we said, let's start off with 500, go for a goal of 500 wreaths.
Right.
And that's what we did. And then across the country on that Wreaths Across America Day, usually at noon, there's a ceremony. People speak. We, sing the national anthem. And it's just gotten bigger over the past 2 years. But what happened was, a little over a year ago, when we went out for the flags for Memorial Day, we said, hey, let's count them this time. And we determined we've got roughly 1,500 veterans buried there. So we knew, because as I mentioned, this is a real community effort. So we've got the Scouts, we've got the Civil Air Patrol, we've got the Girl Scouts, we've got businesses, we have other churches involved, ranging from the Presbyterian Church in Mays Landing, the First Methodist Church, the Apostles' Doctrine Church, are all involved in this. And so we said, let's start expanding out. So the Scouts, which are part of the Presbyterian Church, they really handle Union Cemetery.
Right. I didn't even know about Union Cemetery until a few years ago.
Oh, it's old. It's older than it's way older than Mays Land, or pardon me, Holy Cross.
Right.
And then So last year, we said, let's go 2,000. And that's 500 more than what we've got in Holy Cross. And that then enabled us to hit essentially 5 cemeteries, at the veterans in 5 cemeteries, which was great. So this year, and I assume you were going to get to the whole Lincoln.
Oh yeah, we're gonna.
Okay,
you can go right ahead.
But as we continue to try and expand this, we said, hey, Lincoln Cemetery, which is immediately adjacent to Holy Cross, doesn't look like it's got anybody really looking out for it. I'll just put it that way. Right. It doesn't, as far as I know, have a church that is responsible for it, or an organization that is responsible for it, and yet it has a whole lot of veterans buried, particularly in like one block or one area right up front. In fact, it has. I've driven by it so many times over the years, and there's this one statue of a soldier. It's a sailor. Once you look at it, holding a rifle, which has to be from about the World War I time frame. So, Father John Marsh, who's the pastor over at St. Vincent de Paul, who is also a former Marine.
No, I didn't know that part.
And Naval Academy graduate, 2 tours in Iraq, said, hey, let's see if we can include these folks. So we have reached out to a number of different groups to help us with that. In particular, the Army JROTC unit, the Greyhound Battalion at Pleasantville High School,
right?
And then also the Atlantic City Navy JROTC unit, and both those organizations are in the process of trying to get wreaths sponsored. I kind of skipped over the sponsorship part, but I mentioned each wreath has to be sponsored,
right?
And they are $17 a piece. Then what's really great about this is it's the opportunity for the sponsoring organization, for every $17 that, I'll use the JROTC at Pleasantville, for every $17 sponsorship that they get, that JROTC unit, it gets $5 back from Wreaths Across America. So it's a great little fundraiser in addition to being able to do something to honor veterans, remember them, but at the same time, contribute to the community. By way of example, St. Vincent de Paul Church, all that money, the $5 for each wreath, goes to the food pantry. Right. It helps the community there. It's one of the 2 food pantries, in Hamilton. So I think they've made, in the last 2 years, they've gotten a couple $1,000s to help out.
That's a big deal because I have a food distribution, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, and so it's a great way, I think, again, to build community,
right?
Particularly, and also help people at a time right now where a lot of people need help.
Correct.
So that's kind of a very long-winded answer to what is Wreaths Across America and how we got into it.
Right, and I didn't know that you had just started that 2 years ago. I just heard about it. I showed up, and I believe you had a general.
Last year we had a general. Last year we were privileged to have Brigadier General. I can't think of her first name. Mays. And she is in fact, she had just been promoted to Brigadier General, and she is the New Jersey State Adjutant General, meaning that she is in charge of all of the state's National Guard, Army, Air Force, etc. Units. Now, what was good about that was she actually started her career in Mays Landing.
Wow.
As an airman. And I joke about this, but the VFW in Mays Landing is like 80% Air Force from the 177th,
Right.
And they all knew her, so it was like old home week. But she came, she gave a great presentation. She also met with a number of the young cadets from ACIT's JROTC program, which is Air Force.
Right.
And so the chance for a high school kid who wants to go into the air to meet and talk with, interact with the general officers, pretty nice. So this year, in fact, we just had a change. So this year, before the government shutdown, I'll put it that way, we were supposed to have a 2-star Army general talk this year. I just talked the shutdown's over, so I called up the people who weren't answering the phone until Friday, and turns out because of the shutdown, the 2-star can't join us, but his deputy, who is a 1-star, in fact, is going to be joining. I'm trying to get all that information as we put the program together for the 13th. So yeah, it's big enough that we've got a general officer coming to, speak to us briefly, because we're all standing outside. It can
and
be a
it's
little
cold.
Yes, exactly. So we're not trying to draw it out too much, but we also have the Bishop Williams, who is the recently new bishop of the Diocese of Camden, which generally covers most of South Jersey.
Right.
Is coming to offer the kind of opening prayer.
That's a big deal.
It is, and then he's also, sticking around to then help go out and place wreaths.
Right now, I didn't know. I came dressed up, and but of course I was coming from the radio, and I did not have on the proper shoes. So that's something that if you're going to help put the wreaths out, that you have to have the proper shoe while you're putting the wreaths out. You can't come there in a heel. I had on a heel. I didn't know.
Did you lose the shoes?
Well, to be honest, I stayed for the ceremony because I was not properly dressed. Mm-hmm. So for those who want to help put the wreaths on, you have to have the proper shoe, or feet wear.
Yeah, just warmly and dress for walking.
Dress for walking,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And I should point out, if you are elderly and you have a loved one buried there, we have people who have volunteered to help and assist you get to wherever you need to go. So we had one woman whose husband was buried way on the other side, and we've got folks who'll take her in a car and bring her over, and then assist her get to that grave.
Yeah, and we talked about this maybe last year or a little bit this year about Lincoln Cemetery, which is adjacent.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that Lincoln Cemetery was established during President Lincoln's time. They don't know that. They just hear Lincoln, and that's it.
Yes, and what's interesting about that is, so I was out there the other day walking around, and the thing that's impressive to me, and it's a great lesson about this country, is that Lincoln Cemetery, if you look at the veterans that are buried there and you look at the tombstones, there's at least one from the Civil War.
Right.
He is from K Company of the 22nd or 42nd, 22nd Colored Infantry Regiment. All right. And so I've always been kind of a military history buff, so I was like, what? Tell me about this, right? So I looked it up. Turns out the 22nd Colored Infantry Regiment was raised over in, when I say raised, I mean founded, They pulled people in, whatever, called for volunteers, etc., in Philadelphia. But the majority of the 600 soldiers came from New Jersey.
Wow.
All right. They participated in too many to list battles.
Right.
All right. They were, combat frontline troops, and they also they occupied Richmond. They were part of the occupying force of the capital of the Confederacy when it was taken, and they were part of that attack. And then additionally, when President Lincoln was assassinated, the 22nd took part in hunting down John Wilkes Booth. So it's a nice.
I didn't know that.
I didn't until the other day when I was trying to figure out more about this. And then there's others in there that are in the 81st Pioneer Infantry, which I've never heard of. I've been an infantry officer all my life, and I don't know what that. I'm still trying to figure exactly what that is. But what it comes down to is if you look at the tombstones, I don't want to say the majority, but I'll say most of them. These gentlemen served back when the Army was segregated.
Correct.
They served in colored units because the Army, it wasn't until 1948 that, the Army became integrated under an order by President Truman. And that's what I'm saying when I say it's a great lesson about our country is we took what was essentially a very integrated system, all right, reintegrated it, and now, I mean, I can tell you that I have served with and under and had black troops, under me that were just phenomenal. I mean, you figure we had Colin Powell, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We've had multiple generals. The fact that I mentioned Benjamin O. Davis with the Tuskegee Airmen, 4-star general. West Point graduate. First West Point graduate that was African American was 1887, I think.
Wow.
Henry O. Flipper.
Well, listen, this is
I'm
so
sorry,
much.
No,
It's good, but we're getting ready for a break.
Oh, there we go.
And we'll be right back and talking to Peter Espa. Okay, keep it locked to WEHA.
You are listening to Christ-centered, community-focused, listener-supported gospel. 88.7 and 100.3 FM, Atlantic City, WEHA. Don't forget to follow us on social media by searching We Have Gospel on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Find out more at www.wehavegospel.com.
Looking for uncommon talent? Meet the Grads of Life. They're not the typical candidates you're used to, but they're exactly who your company needs. An ideal fit for entry-level positions, internships, and even mentorships. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn
Hawks,
more.
a name that has been trusted for almost 30 years in the janitorial services industry, is proud to present Hawks Professional Moving Services. Fully insured, local and long distance, packing services, commercial and residential. No job too small or too large. Friendly and reliable services. For more information or a free estimate, 609-484-0452. Hawks Professional Moving Services, where we treat your belongings like our own.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent.
The second
Brought to you
best
by the Ad
thing
Council
about
and
driving
gradsoflife.org.
home is listening to WEHA. The best thing is getting there. And that's why I'm glad when I finally get home, I can listen to WEHA on my computer. It's easy. All you have to do is go to wehavegospel.com. Not only can I hear the station, I can also see what's playing at the time, as well as what has already played before. Sometimes I'll hear a song on the radio and I want to know the name of the song and where I can get it from, And when I need to go to another website, I can always use the pop-out player to keep WEHA playing in the background while I browse the web. They make it so easy for me at wehavegospel.com. You got to check it out. St. James AME Church, 150th church anniversary, featuring choir extravaganza with Pastor Bubby Fan and Praise Beyond, Second Baptist Church Inspirational Choral Ensemble and Male Chorus, St. James AME Church Gospel Choir, and Burroughs Family Choir, vendors, and more. All taking place Saturday, November 8th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at St. James AME Church, 101 North New York Avenue, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Doors open at 5 p.m. Tickets are $20 in advance, $25 at the door. For more information, you can call 609-345-0179. Email 150stjamesac@gmail.com or visit our website website, stjamesamechurchac.org. The celebration continues Saturday, November 22nd, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. with the 150th church celebration, an evening of elegance, featuring guest speaker Bishop Samuel L. Green Sr. at the Seaview, located at 401 South New York Road, Galloway, New Jersey. Sunday, November 23rd, 11 a.m. morning worship service with special guest speaker Reverend Deetra C. Bell, taking place at St. James Church, 101 North New York Avenue, Atlantic City, New Jersey. It's the St. James AME Church 150th church anniversary, celebrating God's faithfulness, remembering the past, honoring the present, embracing the future. Reverend Dr. Deborah K. Blanks, pastor.
Wake up to Morning Glory with gospel duo Duncan and Rachel.
Every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on WEHA 88.7 and 100.3 FM.
And the King of Glory shall come in.
If you just tune in, you're listening in. If you just tune in, you're listening to In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon and First Lady Parrish right here on your two-time Stellar Award-winning gospel radio station, WEHA Gospel 88.7, 100.3 FM. We have gospel. This broadcast has been brought to you by the Hawks family businesses who've been serving our community for over 40 years, and Beacon Hall, turning moments into memories. And as we do every week, we give a shout out to those who have tuned into the show for us. And we want to say good morning, Babs Dawn. We want to say Carolyn Barksdale. She says great information. Deborah Dozier. She's listening to us today. And Lady Parrish, my co-host. And we're talking about, she put information on the page to talk about the ceremony that's going to be held on December the 13th at 12 o'clock p.m. at the Holy Cross Cemetery and Mausoleum, and to remember and honor our veterans by laying and remembrance wreaths on their graves. All right, so this is really, really important. And the ROTC in Atlantic City and Pleasantville are participating with this. And I have a link on my page, because when you click on that link, you can purchase your wreath right there. Well, you may say, Thelma, I don't have a lot of money, but you can purchase one wreath for $17, or you can purchase as many as you want. All right. And so we can get these wreaths on the graves. Now we're going to go back. We were talking about Lincoln Cemetery. All right, and there are about how many veterans over in Lincoln Cemetery?
There's roughly 400 that we count. That we, pardon me, that we've counted. So I think somewhere between 400 and 500.
400 and 500
it's
veterans.
probably closer to the 400 numbers of veterans, and the majority of them, as I had mentioned earlier, predate the integration of the armed forces. They go back to the Civil War. Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, sort of thing. So I think it's a great opportunity. Well, we do kind of one ceremony, right, and that's right over at Lincoln. Pardon me, Holy Cross / St. Francis de Paul, which is right there, immediately adjacent to an easy walk over to Lincoln. In fact, specifically to where the vets are, because they're literally bumped right up against Holy Cross. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. In fact, what I've been told is the bishop actually was probably going to head straight over there.
Right, and so we talked about this about a year ago, and I said I really would like to see wreaths on those graves, and especially since it's adjacent to Holy Cross Cemetery, which that's an integrated cemetery, you know. I'm saying there's
Very.
soldiers, and it was very integrated at Holy Cross Cemetery. But we wanted to highlight Lincoln Cemetery and make sure that we had wreaths on those soldiers' graves as well. And also, you go to Union Cemetery.
Correct.
Right.
Which has also got a number of black veterans buried in it as well. I've seen headstones in there that refer to, colored units.
Right.
Basically.
Right. And most of the people that are Gen Z and Millennium, they don't know what color it is. I really didn't know. I mean, but I'm 63, so I wouldn't know what that is. But I'm just saying. There's about 3 major cemeteries. Now, there are other cemeteries, but they belong to churches. And I think the Presbyterian Church has a cemetery.
Presbyterians have they have a small cemetery there in downtown Mays Landing, which is essentially full. I don't think they do anything more there.
No.
And then they actually share a cemetery between where they are and the Methodist Church, like down the block.
Right.
That land right in between has got people from the Revolutionary War parked in it. So, mostly I'd say so. Holy Cross is the big one,
right? Which
is another reason to start there. And then I know that the Methodist Church, when I've talked to the pastor there, has indicated that the Methodists have several tiny cemeteries, kind of all over Atlantic County.
And you don't really know that. I didn't really know that until I moved to Mays Landing and really started like going around and seeing different things. Actually, it was Memorial Day when I found Union Cemetery. Because they do different ceremonies at each cemetery, and then they end up at Memorial Park.
Correct. Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. So there's another one off of Magdala Road, and was way in the back, and they had Revolutionary War veterans and all of that. I never even saw that place. I never even knew it existed. But it's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of history. In Mays Landing and Hamilton Township.
Well, in Atlantic County in general.
Yeah.
All over the place. And I think Wreaths Across America, the nice thing is that it's a way of, the worst thing that can happen to a veteran is to be forgotten.
Well, and that's what happened during Vietnam. I had an uncle that served in Vietnam, and he'd done 2 tours in Vietnam, and I interviewed him. He's since passed away. But it was hard for those veterans when they came back, because people act like it didn't matter.
No, I make a habit. If I see someone wearing a Vietnam veteran hat, I'm at Applebee's or whatever.
Right.
I'll walk up and say, "Hey, welcome back, and thank you." And that means a lot to those guys. It really does. In fact, this year is the 50th anniversary of the end of that war.
Wow.
So.
That's a big deal.
It is.
It's a big deal. And so thank you to all of the vets. And so we want to, we done this show today to make sure that everyone understood the veterans that we had, even in Lincoln Cemetery.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I was saying. Those are in Lincoln. But now, today, if you look at the vets now, there is no segregated, let's put, based on race, put them here, put them there. We're all, I kind of grew up with, you're in the military, we're all green. You know, if you've ever seen that picture after 9/11, everybody coming out of the ash, they're all covered with ashes. You couldn't tell what color anybody was.
No.
You join the military, particularly the Army, and, when you go to the field, everyone's painted up, with camo, and, that's your brother standing next to you, or now your sister.
Right.
And you're all the same color, which is, camo green.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I appreciated the fact that we had that conversation. And I wanted to bring awareness to my listening audience. And so what I want people to do is to click on my page. There is a link on my page, on my Facebook page. And then if you're not on Facebook, since I'm going to look, I'm not even on social media or anything, but those who are, there is a link, and it says Reefs Across America. And when you click on that link on my page, it will give you the sponsorship and really take you straight to how you can purchase a wreath. All right, which is $17. You have how many wreaths right now?
Right now, we are at about 1,200, a little over 1,200, and our goal is 2,500.
Right.
If we want to be able to cover everybody.
You're at 2,500 wreaths would cover every grave. We would cover Holy Cross, which is about 1,500.
Mm-hmm.
It would cover Lincoln Cemetery, and it would cover Union Cemetery.
Union, as well as like some of those smaller ones I was talking about.
Right.
They're out there as well. Yep.
Right. Would cover all of those cemeteries. So it's important to me that we honor those veterans on Lincoln Cemetery, and that we put a wreath there this year. You know, so if my listening audience is out there listening, and you want to donate, we want you to make sure that you do that. If you want to mail a check, you have up until the end of this month to do that. And there's an email. What's your email?
It's real easy. It's Peter Eschbach at yahoo.com.
All right, so just in case they don't know how to spell Eschbach, because that's German, you know.
I kind of thought maybe, but simply Peter Eschbach. So all one word at yahoo.com.
At yahoo.com.
And then if they can reach out to me on email, I can give them, the address to send the check to.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're getting a lot of people calling in saying, hey, I don't do online. I don't shop online. I don't trust the internet. Whatever. I want to write a check. Have at it, or we're happy to take it and run about it that way. I would say real quickly though, we got a lot of people that have reached out to us saying, hey, we want to help out with the wreaths. I mean, and I really appreciate that, and I encourage everybody, come on down on Saturday, the 13th of December. We start at noon, so please be there a little earlier than that. But it's one thing to say I want to come out and help. The other thing is, I'd hate to have 1,000 people show up and we have 1,000 wreaths.
Yeah, you don't have enough wreaths.
Yeah. So what we really, I'm appealing to people to look into their heart, and hit that online spot or send me a note.
Right. That's going to be really great. I heard you was on NBC.
Ted Greenberg, NBC, did a really nice piece. It was about Wreaths Across America in general, but
right.
he used Holy Cross and Lincoln as his location, and both Father John and I were interviewed. It was classic TV news in the sense that they interview you for an hour and then you get 10 seconds, on air. But they did, and while they didn't mention. I don't think they mentioned Lincoln by name. They did shoot, particularly that the sailor statue, to show that. And what's amazing about that is there's no nameplate. There's nothing. I have no clue as to who that guy is or what he represents or when. And you can only say that because of the rifle that he's holding, it's got to be World War I or around that time frame.
Right. That was very, very interesting. Now, when I was there at the ceremony, there's some graves you could not put a wreath on. The Jewish graves.
Okay.
Yeah, because
that came up.
That came up because, and I wanted to talk about that because I don't have all the information on it.
I don't have the detailed information, but what I was told was that the Jewish faith discourages the placement of wreaths, which I believe they see as a Christian symbol.
Oh, okay.
All right. They're Christmas wreaths, right?
Right.
And so in order, and I may be wrong about that, but that's what I was told, and we want in respect, out of respect for anybody out there that's a veteran but is also Jewish and buried in one of the cemeteries. Hey, we just said that's fine. However, as I mentioned, there aren't that many in Holy Cross. There's, I think, 2 or 3.
Right, and how do you know which grave it is?
cemetery manager
right
keeps all the records on that, and they're right in the middle of this with us, so they're able to tell us that.
Right, and so even with that's how you were able to identify the veterans, was because of that.
Well, no, the veterans, and it varies. Now, this is unique to Holy Cross, I believe, but in Holy Cross, veterans' graves are marked a number of different ways, but the primary way is there is either a silver disc or a bronze folded flag that is affixed to the grave.
Oh, wow.
And that is from the bronze flag is actually from the federal government, so that when someone's buried, they bring the discharge papers or the DD-214 now to the cemetery. They fill out a form. It goes into the federal government. The federal government then sends back, and then the cemetery will affix this thing, and that indicates it's a veteran's grave. There are a few other ways, like, for example, all the guys from World War II, it says, in most cases, Sergeant so-and-so, World War II.
Right.
And it's a government-issued headstone, so you can tell that. Yeah, so we actually, the last part of the ceremony, before we go to the wreaths, is here are the 5 different ways that you can tell if it's a veteran's grave or not.
Correct. And I learned that over the last couple of years, because I wouldn't have known that. You know, although I did have relatives that I heard that served in World War I, and I knew that my uncle served in the Vietnam War, I wouldn't know the way to determine which was a military grave. So I did learn that. And you've been doing this. You've been doing a phenomenal job. You've been working very hard to put this together. Some people would say, why put a wreath? It's waste. It's a waste. Why put a wreath on a grave? And what would you say?
I'd say that maybe you've got another or a better way to remember a veteran. Maybe you've got, somebody in your family that you go out and visit routinely, and you place flowers or you do something. But just with Holy Cross, there's 1,500 out there. So it's a unique way for the community to honor and remember these veterans. I'm also this is important because you mentioned about Gen Z not knowing whatever. It is I think outstanding way for families to educate and teach their children
absolutely
about what these people have done for us. Not everybody out there, in fact, probably most that are buried saw combat. Doesn't matter. They signed up.
Right.
They took the oath. They raised their hand. To use a kind of a cliche, they signed their name to a check made out to the United States government and the rest of us for an amount up to and including their lives if necessary.
Right.
Fortunately, most of them did not have to pay that sacrifice, but we owe all of them and want to remember them for that. There are so many of them out there, Thelma. I would venture to say probably in all the cemeteries, certainly in Lincoln and in Holy Cross. There are so many out there that are in graves that were in the Civil War or the Spanish-American War. And I don't know, with their families, you can tell by the state of the grave. There's no one really looking out after that. There are graves in both cemeteries that are starting to fill in because the ground is growing up around it and starting to fill in, or the stones themselves, several over in Lincoln, that are sinking.
Yeah, I've seen that, and because other people are buried there also now too. They still use that cemetery, but I heard, but I didn't investigate, so I have to check that the person that owns Holy Cross Cemetery also owns Lincoln.
No,
that's not true.
No, it's not true because the Holy Cross is owned by the Diocese of Camden, the Catholic Church. I couldn't tell you who actually owns.
I'm going to look. That's going to be my homework.
There you go.
That's going to be my homework.
I would say real quickly though that another reason to put the wreaths on all those graves is when you look out and you then realize it's kind of funny. There are veterans make up roughly, depending on what stat you look at, let's just say 6%, maybe 5, 6, 7% of the overall population.
Right.
When you look at in a cemetery,
right,
and you see the number of graves that have wreaths on them,
right,
you realize how many people, men and women, have sacrificed, for us to be able to sit here and chat, over the radio. I took my granddaughter to Arlington, and she was 13 at the time, and no wreaths. It was just the incredible number of uniformed headstones, all of the same kind, same color, etc., laid out there, that it kind of has an impact on you.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are very patriotic in our county, but I found that to be very strong in Hamilton Township. They will show up and support things like this. And so we want to honor the veterans. And if people want to donate, how would they donate?
Well, as you had mentioned, they can go to your Facebook page and tap the link, on there. And I believe we've set that up so that we know that if they sponsor a wreath that way, we are fairly confident that that then goes into the pool, if you will, for Lincoln Cemetery.
Right.
To make sure that we get enough wreaths there. Again, if they don't want to go online and they would rather do it by check, they can simply email me at petereschbach@yahoo.com. That's PeterEschbach @yahoo.com. Just send me an email, and I'll give you the instructions on what to do in terms of how to mail a check. But as you mentioned, Thumma, we have to have all the money in at the end by the end of the month, because they're like making the wreaths now, right?
Right.
And they need to know how many to make, how many to ship to us, and it's totally a volunteer. All the trucks from all over the country are donated by trucking firms.
Right.
The last 2 years, we've had the same guy out of Texas show up. His trucking company lets him, he's a former Marine, and they let him travel all the way up to Maine to pick up the wreaths and then travel down the coast, and they pay his meals, they pay his all that. And, well, they give him a truck, too. So it's a great, like you say, it pulls so many people together across the country. But certainly when we all get together on the 13th, I mean, you just got everybody there, from all the different high schools and churches. And great opportunity.
Absolutely. We only have a few minutes, so I just want you to tell everybody that the government established, because someone asked me why December the 13th.
Oh, so, and I'm not sure what the date was or year was, but it's a few years back now, and that is Congress recognized the importance of this effort, and they declared that wreaths across America would be done nationally on the second Saturday of December.
Okay.
All right. So that's how that came up. Oh, real quickly, one question that always does come up, and I totally forgot this, is why are we not in Veterans Cemetery like in Estill Manor?
I was going to ask you that question.
They did it about a decade ago, and I talked to them to see if they wanted to be involved, and they said they did it about a decade ago, and it was great, and then when they came out the next day, the wreaths were torn apart, ripped apart, pieces all over the place, because the deer came out that night. And said, oh, look, it's a buffet.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, that's why now if you take a wreath or you go out there, you've got someone buried there, you've got to stake it in the ground so it doesn't get torn apart and thrown all over the place. So they said, we totally support you, but we don't do it because
of that.
The deer out there. Yep.
What would you like to leave with our listening audience? You got about a minute.
I would just simply say that, I've mentioned this before, the military today, and in fact, frankly, going back to our start 250 years ago, because this is the birthday of the Army, the Navy, the Marines, is the reason you're listening to this program.
That's true.
And we're having this opportunity to have a nice discussion. And so the best way, maybe there are better ways to remember and honor veterans, but this is certainly one way that you can do that. Do it locally here, and come together as a community. But I ask that, go to that website and sponsor a wreath, sponsor 10 wreaths. You'll not only be helping the community in terms of its show of support for veterans, but in this particular case with Lincoln, you will also be benefiting the kids at Pleasantville High School and Atlantic City High School.
Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure.
Thank you for being a part of our program and taking our time. You're very busy. You got another interview coming, but we want to thank you so much for taking time out of our and joining our program